Hey, it's Kevin DeWitt here. Welcome to another plugin knowledge session. In this session, we're going to have a look at a plugin called Echoboy from Soundtoys. So if you're new to my channel and you like what you see, click the thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel, click the bell to be notified of all future videos as they come out. So this video is another one from my, let's call it from my vault. It's an older recording of a plugin that has been on my website before but hasn't quite made it to YouTube. But because it's a plugin that I use all the time and I absolutely love, I wanted to share it with you on YouTube, hence bringing it out. So hopefully the quality is okay and hopefully I'm not too boring in it and you get a lot of value out of it. So Echoboy from Soundtoys, Echo, you might think delay, and you'd be right. So Echoboy is a delay plugin. It has a massive amount of features in this. There's so many features, it is ridiculous, right? You can use it quite simply at a very high level, but then you can even break it down even further to really micro adjust lots of things. There's lots of emulations of various styles of echoes and hardware, etc. You can add some distortion to your delay effects. You can add all various things. You can do stereo, mono, ping-pong effects. You can do rhythm effects. You can even time things and sync it to your songs. You can go for very clean delays, modern delays. You can do vintage style delays. You can even get chorus effects and tape delays and all various functions, and even simulate reverbs if you so wish with this plugin. So I love it, use it all the time. It's used very widely in the industry by lots of mix engineers, very popular plugin. So let's not waste any more time and let's just get into it and I will show you around the plugin. So to go over some of the basic controls here, we have a mix control here. So again, similar to every other main plugin, we have fully dry, where we have no delay, totally dry signal, fully wet, so all delay, no original signal, and then anywhere in between. Now, some of these settings are going to change depending on some of the other settings here, but we'll start with this one here. So we have an echo time. At the moment, this is locked to a note. So as we turn it, you'll see in the window here, it's changing the value. We can also do it from here. But we also have these buttons here to change what we want it to be. So when we have it in the note mode, as you'll see here, it's sitting at an eighth. We can click on the dot and now it is a dotted eighth note. We can hit the trip button and it becomes an eighth note triplet. Or we can go straight back to note and then we're an eighth. If we click on the time, suddenly we move to a time value here. So now when we adjust it, we're changing the value in milliseconds. And then this note value here will obviously lock into this tempo setting here. So with the MIDI switch up and the red light on, we are synced to the tempo of the DAW. So the project here at the moment is set to 120. So it's obviously set to 120. If we turn that off, we can override it and set it to any tempo we want. We can tap tempo by just clicking on this button in a rhythm. But most of the time, if I'm going to do notes, I will obviously sync it to my project so that it lines up with all the instruments in the project. We have feedback control here. So this is obviously minimum, maximum. This controls how many times the signal is outputted from the plugin and then fed back into the plugin again to get processed again and again. And that's how we get that delay effect as the signal keeps passing through it keeps getting affected more and it starts to lose some of its power, and that's why it trails off. The higher we put the feedback, the longer it takes for that to happen. We have a low cut control here, so obviously with this one here, we can roll off some of the low end. We have a high cut control here, so again, minimum means nothing. As we roll it up to maximum, that means we're doing maximum cut. So that's going to make our signal sound darker, and this is going to obviously remove the low end and make it brighter. So we have a switch here called prime numbers. Now this is a little bit of a tricky one to sort of understand. And when you read the manual, when that's turned on, it refers to it as a special way to slightly alter the time. And it talks about doing it in a way that it keeps the repeating echoes from building up resonance that can happen when you have every repeat is exactly the same time interval. I guess the maker of this could understand it and explain it a bit better, but even the manual's not 100% clear, but it's something that you could try to have a listen to. It indicates that it works mainly in the dual mode or the rhythm mode. So we can check that out when we go to it. So I've already explained here the tempo settings here. We also have a groove setting. So even though we can have an echo locked to a note and locked to a DAW, we can alter the groove here and we can move it. So dead center, it's just straight on the beat. If we want to adjust the groove, we can move it down, which gives it that shuffle sound, or the other way, which gives it that swing sound. And then we've also got the feel as well. So we can bring it this way and make it feel like it is actually ahead of the beat. So it's sort of rushing as it's indicated there. Or the other way where it starts to slow down a little bit behind the beat and will feel like it's dragging. So we've got a mode selector here. So we've got our single echo, which is just going to be your standard echo. So we have a dual echo, and when we switch over to the dual echo, you'll see some settings over here changed. We now have two echoes, echo 1, echo 2. We can obviously change the values of each of them. So we can have a different value on the echo 1 and a different value on echo 2. We have a ping-pong setting, and again, it's changed the name. So we've got ping and pong. Obviously, this is traditional stereo type delay. Obviously, dual echo is very stereo as well. Again, we can have different note values on each side. Then we have a rhythm echo, which gets a lot more complicated. And here we have different rhythm settings here. So you'll see that it's changing per notes, and we can also change the patterns and various things there. We've got all of these other settings that have come up. So that'll be an interesting one to play with. We'll come back to that. Over here, we have a saturation setting here. So we've got our input, so we can actually push the input harder if we want to get more saturation that way. We can drive the output louder if we want to push it that way as well. Or we could bring that back and push the input up to get more saturation. We also have a saturation knob. So this obviously determines from the minimum to the maximum how much saturation. And then we have a style. What impact the saturation knob has on the signal will depend on what style we use here. So we have a whole list of styles here: master tape, studio tape, EchoPlex. So there's a whole list, and each one of them obviously sounds different and has different styles and different characteristics of what saturation type effect is applied or anything like that. So this is their way of emulating different sorts of echoes all in one plugin. And then if you thought there wasn't enough there, we've got two other buttons here: tweak and style edit. If we go to style edit, this is where we bring up lots and lots of settings. So depending on which one we touch, you'll see these settings change. We can adjust the low EQ, the mid EQ, the high EQ, there's diffusion settings here, there's wobble settings, there's saturation settings, and there is so many settings here. It is ridiculous. You could do practically anything to this delay. And then when you're finished with the style edit, you can also come across to the tweak setting, and here you can tweak the echo parameters here. So the width, the left and right offset, and the ascent. And depending on which one we select, the mode, we get different settings here. So now we get balance, width, left and right, accent 1, 2, feedback mix, feedback balance, ping-pong changes slightly again, and rhythm changes again as well. So now that we've gone through that, let's have a bit of a play with it. So we've got a guitar here. And in its pretty much default state, if we just turn the plugin on, we get this. That's fully wet, fully dry, somewhere in between. And now if we turn the feedback up, we start to get that trail off effect. We can go very high. And it can go on for a very long time. We could adjust the time. And then we can play with our EQ cuts here. So you can hear the low end gets cut out when we do that one. And if we want to make it darker, and the prime numbers setting. Definitely a difference in sound with that one. And just keeping on to that, so we've obviously got it locked to this tempo. Let's check out the saturation. So again, if we bring the volume down, we can but we'll keep that flat and we'll just do the saturation here. And then we've got our different styles. So that's the basic settings there. If we move over to a dual echo, So here, there, we've got two different echoes going on there. I've set them to different settings so you can hear the contrast between the two. And then if we move across to the Ping-Pong, so at the moment, this is all coming through actually on a mono track. So we're not getting the true impact of these delays because we've got it on a mono track. So let me switch over to a stereo track for this purpose. So when we switch this over to a stereo track, we now get some stereo effect. Even on single echo, it becomes stereo. If we take that off, now if we try the dual echo, and then the Ping-Pong. And then our rhythm delay here. So I've got a shape control here, which is shaping how the things are fading out on the feedback. So with it down, it's just totally flat across there. So we bring it up. We then have a control here, and we can change this setting here. So this is our normal decay. And we can adjust how many repeats we have. We can also go reverse. Swell. And non-linear there. So you can see the shape that it's portraying and how many notes. So, you know, you could go a lot higher and get these sort of weird effects going on. But on top of that, you can also customize and you can draw your own beats in there and set the levels to how you want them. And come up with some interesting patterns. So if we switch to pattern there, I'm guessing here we can click our own. So let's start by again switching back to a Ping-Pong, and let's just have a look at the style edit here. So actually we'll go to a single echo here. I'm just putting it to fully wet so that you can hear just the delay itself while I just play with these settings. So just playing there with the wobble, it's an interesting effect. We can change the saturation. We turn it on. We can obviously play with all these frequency ranges here. Change the EQ. Give it some resonance. And so you can play with that to all your heart's content, but we could wind it back down. Get some really nasty settings there. So that's the style edit. Let's go across to the tweak. So I'm just going to put that back to a default studio tape. And when we're in the tweak mode, we can play with the width. Make it more mono. Very wide. Left to right offset. Okay, so the Ascent knob here, when it's in the center, it has no impact at all. When we go to the plus, it accents the, so it basically alternates between loud and soft notes of the delay. So in the positive way, it's looking at saying, making an emphasis on the first, third, and fifth delays. If we go in the negative way, it's the opposite, and it goes on the offbeat. And I'll be doing the second, fourth, and sixth. So that's where you sort of get that interesting effect. So just to show you. And then if we move over to dual echo and have a look at that, very much similar settings here. Obviously we can change the balance. So the feedback mix here in normal mode, it's basically just the feedback is just normal and the dual echo feedback is independent. So you will get a little bit of feedback from echo 1 into echo 2 and a little bit from echo 2 to echo 1. When we start to increase this, what happens is that a lot more is fed from echo 2 into echo 1 and a lot more from echo 2 into echo 1 in the opposite way. So when we go full, what that means is that echo 1 will get all of its feedback from echo 2 and echo 2 will get all of its feedback from echo 1. So if we change the settings, And the feedback balance also determines how much feedback happens, but whether it's into the left or right. In the middle, it's obviously balanced. If we move to the left, that means more feedback is going to happen on the left side. And we go to the right, more feedback is going to happen on the right side. And on the Ping-Pong here, we've already pretty much done that. Width and balance, we know that. Edit, we've got very similar settings, except we've got pan shape. We can adjust the grid just for viewability. We can adjust the length of the beats or length of the grid. You can change the accent. So you can see there's a very powerful delay plugin, and you can get some really interesting effects. There should be no reason why you can't get some unique sounds out of this. It's a really good echo. Now, I've been playing this echo directly on the track. Obviously, this can also be placed on an FX channel where you would have your mix at 100% wet and blend it in by sending some of your signal to the FX channel to get blended in as an echo, or send multiple tracks to this one echo, which you can do quite easily. And that's generally the way I work most of the time. I generally have my delays and reverbs on effects channels and do sends to it. But if you've got a specific sound you're going for and you want to put it on your track, obviously you can do that, as I've been doing it here. Just keep in mind, if you've got a mono track, it will only present out as mono. So if you wanted stereo, even if it's a mono source, you need to somehow do that. Now in Cubase, we need to put it on a stereo track so that we can get that impact. Other DAWs like Pro Tools, etc., can automatically change the track from mono to stereo as soon as you put a stereo plugin on it. That does not happen in Cubase, so just be aware of that. So there you go. There is Echoboy by Soundtoys. As I said, I love this plugin. Let me know what you think in the comments. Have you got this plugin? Do you use it? I'd love to hear your opinion on it. Are you going to demo it, or did you not like it? Love to hear your opinion on it. As I said, the video was an older one, so hopefully it was okay quality. Hopefully it was not too boring and you got some value out of it. If you did like the video, then please click the like button, subscribe to the channel, click the notification bell to be notified of all my future videos. Hopefully it's been helpful. I thank you for watching, and I will catch you in the next video.